It's a dramatic first leg lead, 3-2 in true Real Madrid style late on against Manchester City here. And they take now that advantage to the Bernabeu for the second leg. Jurgen Klinsmann and Frank Leboeuf have been watching the game for us as well. They join us now. Let me start with you, Jurgen. We were watching it with our boss and he said, well, that was something.
That was fantastic. I think it was such a fun game to watch. I mean, obviously, you don't want a game like this happening in so early stage because it could be the final of the Champions League, not at that early stage. And one team has to go home. It promised a lot, and it kept all the promises that we hoped for. A lot of goals, and some drama. I thought, Real Madrid started really well. Had the better of both teams, but then Erling Haaland, scored his first goal, and then later on, obviously followed up with a penalty kick. This kid is now 24 years old and has 49 Champions League goals. This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But it's a matchup that obviously depends on your superstars, and they need to show up, and that's what we all hoped. The fans hope that obviously the front four of Real Madrid, gives us some highlights, and they did. I think none of them disappointed. It took Bellingham quite a while to get into the game, but then he got really into the game in the second half. Vinicius Jr. was always lively, Rodrigo was lively, and Kylian Mbappe was there as well. And so, it could have ended in a 2-2 draw. It could have ended in a 2-1 win for Man City. But with Real Madrid, that is their story. Their story is, they go on to the very, very end of a game, and they're always capable to score goals, especially when the opponent is making mistakes. And that's what Man City, unfortunately, did. A few mistakes too many, especially at the very end. You cannot afford that against Real Madrid. And so we will see a feisty second leg, obviously, next week in Madrid. It's not done yet, in my opinion. Man City still has a chance to advance, but it's going to be very, very difficult.
Did you enjoy it as much as Jurgen, Frank?
No, I will go the other way. Maybe Jurgen is the optimistic guy. I'm the pessimistic one. But I saw so many mistakes. It's very hard to analyze a game like that, where in fact it's always when the team was at its worst that they scored a goal, and it's when they felt good that they conceded a goal. And I didn't get it. So even the two goals. The one from Mbappe is funny. It's a funny one, let's say, rather saying is a joke. And Vini, when he tried to chip the ball, in fact, he made an assist to Jude Bellingham. But everything was strange for me in that game. Real Madrid were very good the first 20 minutes, should have scored, and they conceded a goal. Then Manchester City went better after scoring a goal, then they conceded a goal. And everything went the other way around, in the wrong way. So it makes me think that I enjoyed, because football is made of mistakes. And if you don't have any mistakes, you don't see any goals. But there were so many everywhere, especially defensively from City. But also, I found Real Madrid very passive when they conceded the goal, and after they didn't react. And it's why I don't know who's going to go through. I think Real Madrid have more tools than Manchester City. But really, if they keep on playing like that, comparing to a team like Liverpool, for example, they won't exist. They're going to be punished. So I don't see any of the two teams going far in that competition, even if we know that Real Madrid can do miracles in that competition.
But let's talk about those mistakes, because in the 85th minute at home, Manchester City were leading this game, and then it's their own mistakes that were punished in those final minutes of it.
And it's nothing new for Manchester City, specifically this season. And so when we talk about a team that has had difficulties winning matches and closing out matches, those things build over time. And you may think it's just us sitting here talking about it. No, those guys know that this season they've had time after time after time after time after time after time opportunities to close out games, and they haven't been able to do so. And so that lack of confidence shows. Manchester City had the ball in their hands physically, in their hands with Ederson, winning the game 2-1. He gives the ball straight to Real Madrid. Real Madrid go on to score the second goal. Okay, fine. 2-2, it's not the best result, but it gives us some hope for the second leg. Again, you have the ball in your feet and you're Manchester City. And for years upon years upon years, Manchester City have been at their best with the ball at their feet. And they turn the ball over once again. And Real Madrid go on to score. Now, it's not just tonight. It's a history of this season for Real Madrid, for Manchester City. And because of it, as a player, you know full well that you have those difficulties. You know full well that you haven't been able to do it. And you don't draw from a history of success, you're drawing from a history of failures, recent failures. And they show up at the worst time possible. And it's what happened today to Manchester City.
Yeah, as Ali was saying, and as we were just seeing there, it's not the first time it's happened this season, not the second, not the third, not the fourth. Manchester City giving up leads, as you can see here. This one to Real Madrid. Back in January, the 4-2 loss against PSG, they were leading 2-0 after the 53rd minute. That 2-2 draw at Brentford when they were also leading 2-0. Back in December, the loss to Manchester United, conceding in the 88th and the 90th minute. And then in November, the 3-3 draw with Feyenoord, where they were leading 3-0 after the 53rd minute and then conceded 3 late goals in this game. Now, it may be normal this season, Jurgen, but this, as Ali's saying, is not normal for a team like Manchester City.
No, it's not normal. And for Pep Guardiola, this is very, very difficult to swallow because as a manager, you know, when you have a face like that and you concede last-minute goals and your games get turned around in the very last 10, 15 minutes, you know, it's a brutal experience to go through because you literally on the sideline, you hope that your players show ownership, show leadership. You know, that's where you rely on specific players then on the field that carry that result, you know, obviously over the time. And that's missing right now. There's nobody on the field getting loud or getting nasty or making a point to say, you know, whatever happens now, we're up 2-1. We know how good Real Madrid is, obviously, you know, with their front four. But, you know, we kick the ball up in the stand or we just get it over the time or whatever instead of maybe just trying to score a third goal now. And you mentioned all the other games. It's very similar there. So as a manager, you know, when I kind of feel a little bit for Pep there out there, you hope that specific players in that moment in time, you know, take the lead and communicate certain things and get the game over. And obviously you can see it on Ederson tonight. He was not himself. He was nervous. He was doing a couple of little mistakes here and there. You know, his deliveries up there, playing, you know, out of the back. And then what happened in the last couple of minutes is a sign for that. And when it starts with your goalkeeper, then it goes to the entire team. And that's what you get then at the end of the day.
Now, speaking of Pep Guardiola, let's hear what he's had to say after this result against Real Madrid.
You've just been through some of the games where your team has conceded goals, particularly late on. How do you stop that?
We talk about that, but how? So we have to know that the mistakes in some areas and when we are there, so it's difficult to manage, but yeah, happen many times.
Hi, Pep. I know previously you said it's not a psychological thing, that it's just bad decisions, that's all, with regard to these mistakes. But is it becoming a bit of a vicious circle? It's almost becoming its own problem, this conceding of late goals, that your players, it's in their heads a little bit, oh no, here we go again.
No, but when you are 1-2-1 and psychological will see, oh, we stop to play and we are scary and the opponent continue to attack and after could understand, oh, we are, but in that moment at 2-1, nothing wrong happened. So we are maybe more closer to create chances than them. And after happened what happened. So, but it's not about a specific player. So it would be easy if every player do the same. It's many situations to read what do you have to do, what do you have to read in that situations, and we are not able to do it.
Frank, to that point, do you think it is in the heads of the players, of the Man City players, that it keeps happening, so it's going to keep happening?
Of course it is. It's only a lack of confidence who goes to that result. But I don't know. We are talking about Pep Guardiola saying that doesn't have the solution for that. So maybe the first solution, the last 10 minutes, you stop playing. You stop playing from your own half. You kick the ball far away and you try to press and you try to survive. You stop playing. It's a bad habit. and today again. And you say when the opponent have the ball, you put him down. We saw Rico Levis not doing anything on Vinicius Junior. We see Kovacic, who has such a technique, shouldn't lose the ball, losing the ball because he tries to play. So maybe the first, I would say, treatment is to erase the fact that you're going to concede a goal the last 10 minutes. And the only way to do that is to play higher on the field, not trying to play from the back. That might be a solution. I'm not Pep Guardiola. I would never be that kind of coach and with the level and the success that he had. But maybe, in a way, and in order to get better, you have to erase getting mistakes and mistake after mistakes.
If we really strip it down, though, because I think we can fall in the trap of thinking, well, it's just Manchester City giving up late goals as they have this whole season, and that was it. And no, it wasn't. If we strip it down and we really analyze the amount of chances, clear chances that Real Madrid had, look, as dangerous as Manchester City may have been at times attacking Real Madrid because Real Madrid are open and this is the way that they play, this could have been 5-2 Real Madrid. And when I say could have, I mean really should have been. There are many opportunities for Real Madrid in the second half. And as the game got more open, you got to see, or we now had the opportunity to see, that front four that Jurgen is talking about, Mbappe running in behind, Vini running at defenders, Bellingham supporting from behind, Rodrigo taking players on 1v1, and when he comes off, Brahim Diaz comes on the field. And you start seeing the amount of options that Carlo Ancelotti has in the attack, and they were exposing all the spaces that were available from Manchester City. In fact, I would say that Real Madrid, not only did they miss chances in front of goal, they also missed chances to just play the ball through and have Mbappe running against John Stones. Mismatch. And that's a mismatch across the line. Whoever is running with Mbappe, whoever is running with Vini, they're just not going to keep up. And there were opportunities for Real Madrid to play that ball in behind, and they didn't nearly as much as they could have. So while we focus on the end of the match, because Manchester City were up in the match 2-1, on the totality, on the whole, Manchester City had 20 minutes at the end of the first half, and then that's it. Beyond that, it was all Real Madrid creating all the opportunities and really should have won this game by more than one goal.
How do you balance that in your head as a coach, Jurgen, when, OK, you come away with the win and it's a late win in dramatic style and obviously it's going to boost morale, but you know there was a string of chances that you could have put away and you could have been punished for. How do you balance how you discuss it with your side afterwards?
Well, Carlo Ancelotti certainly knows now exactly how to communicate within his dressing room towards that second leg game in Madrid, to take the game very, very seriously, obviously, with Man City, because they still, have a lot of firepower up front. Obviously, Haaland proved this point tonight as well. But Alejandro is right. Real Madrid started the first 20-25 minutes clearly as a better team, had good chances already. Then Man City goes ahead, and then it went in a way that you had the feeling that Real could have scored more goals than just the three of them. But it's dangerous now. It's dangerous for Real, going in that second leg, knowing, okay, we won already at Man City. We are the clear favorites now for the second game. And that's where, you got to really kind of make sure that your players are very, very attentive going into that match, because, if you go up 1-0 at Real Madrid, maybe you create a huge surprise, and you have the players to damage also Real Madrid. But tonight, I think even if they, were leading 2-1 at that one point, at 12 minutes before the end of the game, Man City with that penalty from Haaland, the better team was Real Madrid, and they had clearly the more chances and more opportunities to score even more than those 3 goals. So they would have not deserved to win that match, Man City, tonight.
Frank, Vinny might have lost out on the Ballon d'Or, but he won Man of the Match tonight. So, every cloud has a silver lining.
OK, good for everybody then.
Go ahead, Frank.
That's not very important for me. No, just what I wanted to add is the fact that, for me, it's kind of an easy option for Carlo Ancelotti for the second leg. He's leading by 1 goal. You just have to let Manchester City coming up and trying to score a goal. And with the option that they have in counter-attack, with the 4 magical players that he has, and so paceful player, you just have to wait. and he knows that he's going to have opportunity because City is going to open up. City cannot bear the fact that other teams play counter-attack and not to deal with that. That is going to be an easy option for me, and they are so dangerous that at some point he's going to score 1 goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, and he's not going to stop.
I just don't know if this version of Real Madrid from the past, from years past, would have been capable of just sitting back and absorbing pressure and then going on the counter. I thought that that's the way that they would approach today's match at Manchester City. But Real Madrid got stretched. They got open, too open, in my opinion, and got stretched at times through the midfield. They'll be better suited to do what Frank is mentioning. I just don't know that they have that in their game, this particular team, this particular version of Real Madrid. Because Vini won't track back, Mbappe won't sit behind the ball, Rodrigo's the only one kind of trying to help out in the midfield, and then Bellingham, if he starts dropping too far back, then he's unable to support the front three. And so how do you sit back if the guys that are going to help you on the counter don't really want to sit back behind the ball? And that, I think, becomes the challenge, not only in the second leg for Real Madrid, but in general, in Champions League competition, as we get into the latter stages. How do Real Madrid approach the match in a way that they can take advantage of the speed that they have up front, but they can also show some balance defensively? They haven't been able to figure that out just yet. And Carlo Ancelotti, he's been trying, but it's not quite as clear-cut as we may think it would be. Regardless, Real Madrid favors going into the second leg, and I don't think, honestly, I just don't see Manchester City keeping Real Madrid from scoring in the second leg.
Who did you like from Real Madrid tonight? Who stood out to you most?
I have a tremendously soft spot for Fede Valverde. And when I say I have a soft spot, I mean, I love that man. I really do. The ability to just, and the guys can attest to this, doing the beep test is one of the most god-awful things to do in a preseason. Fede Valverde must be a dream to do the beep test. In the back and forth, and the back and forth, and the back and forth, and the back and forth. Yeah. And he does it effortlessly. And he resolves so many issues for Carlo Ancelotti. He'll cover that right-hand side and cover all the ground. And there were a couple of sequences that, in fact, one of them, he ends up having an opportunity down the right-hand side, where the sequence started all the way 20 yards away from his own goal, down the left-hand side, and he just goes on a sprint, and eventually the ball finds him at the back post, and he hits it wide. And then he's back defending. In order for Real Madrid to play the way that they play, they need Fede Valverde to cover all that ground, and he's more than willing to do so.
Jurgen, you're smiling through the whole of Ali's speech there about Fede Valverde.
Yeah, I love it. I love it that Alejandro says that. But exactly that is the point. The point for Carlo Ancelotti for that second leg is that Valverde is not going up and down like crazy because he did that at the first goal of Haaland. He was out of position. He was up front, and then I think it was Guardiola then took basically that space and made that run that Valverde made before, just seconds before that, the other side, and ended up to lay off the goal for Haaland. So they really, the tricky part for Real Madrid is, as Alejandro says, is that the other 6 players, beside these marvelous 4 front players, including obviously Bellingham there, that we cover them up. We do all the dirty work and we do all the defensive work, because otherwise, they're going to risk in every game, which they also do in La Liga. I mean, it's not a secret. So it's not an easy task for Carlo Ancelotti to keep them all, discipline, to keep them in their shape, to keep them, do also a certain amount of pressing, which they're not doing, the high pressing that other teams are doing, because Mbappe and Vinicius, they're not the high pressing players. That's not what they want to do, because they have other qualities. But again, you got to keep the other ones very disciplined and in a good shape in order not to concede a goal from your opponent. In this case, it would be Man City in the second leg. And if Man City, however, would score the first goal, then they maybe drop back and play the breakaway game.
Go on then, Frank. Do City come back, or do Real Madrid see it out in the second leg?
I mean, it's going to be an entertaining game anyway, but I don't see how Manchester City can come back, because, again, they're going to have to try to score. They're going to open up, and we know that in the middle of the park, they're not the city that they used to be because of the absence of Rodri, for example, and at the back, oh my God, it's a freeway or motorway. I don't know how you would call it, but it's for the air forwards. It's an open door. I mean, it's crazy how many spaces you can get, and on top of it, if they keep on doing bad mistakes, they're going to be punished at the Santiago Bernabeu. So no, I don't see City going through for sure. I see a kind of a win like 3-1 for Real Madrid.
To that point, what is Real Madrid's approach in this second leg then?
Well, ideally it would be what Frank just mentioned and Jurgen mentioned as well. And yes, we'll just sit right here. Let's see if you can break us down, because you haven't been nearly as good with your possession, and through the midfield you haven't been nearly as dominant as Manchester City has been in the past. Then I know, if I'm Real Madrid, I know that you're going to turn the ball over. And when you turn that ball over, we're going. That would be straightforward approach from Carlo Ancelotti. Sometimes this team just gets out of control with their structure. They get disorganized, they get stretched, they get exposed. Barcelona has shown that a couple of times this season, and it hasn't even been close. So if you're Real Madrid, if I'm Carlo Ancelotti, this is when I ask from my team, discipline first, which doesn't mean that we're going to be passive, doesn't mean that we're just going to sit and defend, but let's show some discipline. And when it's time to go, then let those guys up there, let those guys resolve the problem. We sit here, Ceballos, Camavinga, Valverde, if you need to talk inside. Let's sit here and let those guys resolve the issue, because we don't need to go over there and create space in transition going the other way. So it's as straightforward as it can be. I just don't know, as I said a few minutes ago, I just don't know that Real Madrid actually know how to do this, because there's a group of players there that are not thinking about, hey, we're just going to sit here and then we're going to go. They're thinking, I'm on the go already. But before you go, you actually have to win the ball. And that's the message that has to be very clear, that I don't think is always clear for guys like Vini and Mbappe.
And there's no doubt this late comeback win for Real Madrid will be a boost for them going into that second leg. They also brought a streak to an end today when it comes to European Cup history. The longest home unbeaten streaks. Bayern Munich leading the way. Barcelona between 13 and 20. Next with 38. And it's between 2018 to 2025. Manchester City had gone 35 without losing at home, but it was ended today in some style by Real Madrid.